I want to welcome the GMs and the wives, the godly men and the warm, inviting, feminine, empathetic women out there. In today's video topic, I want to discuss how really a philosophy, actually, more so than any kind of advice or anything like that. I don't know if I have any advice in this video that is going to be super pressing, but I do have a philosophy that I want to share. It's more so that I am too serious for playing around, but I'm too playful to be too serious. It's just come to fruition for me that it seems like there's a lot of people in the world that are either too serious or not serious enough. And the ones that are too serious, at least I can understand where they're coming from. I understand the background. I understand why they are perhaps too serious or more serious than others. And I understand that in many ways, to have a light heart about topics is going to be something that is not in the cards for some people. Some people just have had such a hard life that they don't understand what it's like to be joyful, what it is like to actually be able to be with themselves and to be with who they are and to be authentic. What exactly does it mean to be authentic? It means that you're not really hiding behind anything that you could portray as something to be an ideological wall, let's say. And so this ideological wall that you tried to hide behind may not be the most significant part of any kind of personal growth because it inhibits you, or rather it hinders you from developing into the kind of person that you must be in order to get to where it is that you want to go. And so in order to make yourself into the person that you want to be, you have to take yourself serious enough to where you can take care of yourself physically, emotionally, and spiritually and financially, but yet not too serious to the point in which you completely go off the deep end, so to speak. And when I say that, what I mean is that there's a lot of people that take either ends of extremities to their extremes, and they go into the paradoxical polar opposites, and yet when they try to go to the polar opposite of one polar, and then the other one, or another person, let's say, tries to go to the polar opposite of another, it's like they actually end up becoming the thing that they're trying to run away from. And so how do you reconcile this? Well, you've got to make sure that you understand that you're actually bearing fruits that are part of your works, that are part of who you are as a person. Because if you look at any kind of mythology, or even in the Bible, where we have a bunch of different kinds of stories, and for those that don't believe or have faith in the Bible or Jesus, they can understand that at least from you can look at any book, the Quran, or you can look at any religious book, let's say, okay? And you can see that there's certain stories and certain characters in those stories that present certain fruits of how it is that they are as a person. So the externalities of their fruits are representative of who they are as an individual. And who they are as an individual is going to determine their fruits as well. How they look, how they act, the way that they communicate with other people, etc. And so really what we have to understand as human beings that are capable of seeing things in many different perspectives, we have to be open-minded enough to where we are completely at the will to whatever is most reasonable, and yet not yielding to the point in which when we know something is right, we have the backbone of our ancestors to defend it. And so for me, this kind of philosophy boils down to whether or not you are operating from a place that is producing quality and producing things that are worthwhile to not just yourself, but to other people. The thing that makes taking yourself too seriously fall on its face, and on the opposite, taking life not seriously enough, what these both have in common is that you're actually doing what is only necessary for you to survive and not to thrive. A lot of the times people use humor as a way to give themselves the ability to, I would say it's they use humor as a way to deter themselves from what is real, or to be able to accept what is real. Whereas the people that are too serious, what they have to do and what they have to disclose to themselves is that sometimes they're too rigid in their thinking. Well, so how do you find the balance, and what exactly is the balance? Is it necessary for you to make a balance? Well, you see, in modern day and age, with our lives altogether, whether you have a day job or whether you have whatever it is that you're going on in your daily life, you're going to encounter people that are still inside the matrix, so to speak. And they're still inside the matrix in a way that does not allow for the propagation of spiritual growth and progress in the way that would be necessary for them to succeed. And the most difficult part about that is seeing this and accepting this as a reality if you are someone that is awake. Because your first intention as someone that is seeing the light is to go share the light. And it's not necessarily a bad thing for you to go do so, but some people are just not ready to wake up yet. Some people are just not ready to face and accept the truth of the reality in this day and age. They're not ready to accept that this world is as strange as it seems, and that there are actually people in the world that are trying to limit your possibilities of growth. That's a very unsettling thing for some people, but for me, it gets me fired up. It gets me more ready for what's to come, because I understand that even on my darkest days, when I am not at my best, I'm not doing what I could be doing all the time, let's say, like I'm just not operating at 100%. My 20%, my 20% is still more than some people's 100%. And this is not because I have a superiority complex or anything like that. It's just that there's more vitality and yearning for adventure in life within me, because I understand that life in many ways is going to be something that we make. We make our lives in many different ways. It's not to say that you aren't given a certain set of cards to have to deal with, but it is also the case that in many ways you are the co-founder of your life with the Most High God. And so in order to really understand the depths of what it is that you're truly capable of, you have to go to certain limits that and ask questions. This is something that has always fascinated me with the whole Israelites being the wrestling with God, because that's what it translates to, right? So what exactly does it mean to wrestle with God? It means you can ask all these questions. And the thing about me is that if anybody has a question, I'm going to do my best to make sure that I'm answering it in the most articulate, clarifying way possible. And if I don't know something, then I'm going to say that I don't know, because I'm not someone that is trying to be someone he's not. I'm not trying to say that I have all the answers, because I don't. I don't have all the answers. But I do know, and I have an understanding that, well, first let me bring up this song. It's called Paradise by Richie Havens. I actually don't know if it's by Richie Havens. I just know he's done a cover of it. But Paradise, the lyrics at one point in it say something along the lines of, as long as I'm still breathing and I've got somewhere to go, I really don't need to know. And to me, that was very powerful, because it goes to show that some things are just not meant for us to know, and some things are just not meant for us to worry about. And thank God for that, because if we can stay grounded in God and gratitude, then we can pretty much do anything. We can create anything that we want. It just comes as a matter of time, effort, and not necessarily willingness, even though that's important, but it's a will to do so. The Most High God will give you the courage and the strength to do what needs to be done, but you have to be the one to actually have the will to pursue it. And if you don't have the will to pursue it, then it's going to be very difficult for you to actually make happen what you want to have happen. And so ultimately, to close out this video, the most important aspect of living life is, yes, you should take yourself seriously to some degree, but there's a certain aspect of playfulness that if you don't have, you're going to miss out on the wonders of life. In the Bible, it says that in order to get into the kingdom of God, and Jesus says this actually himself, in order to get in the kingdom of heaven, you must be like a child. In the kingdom of God, you must be like a child. Well, what is a child? Innocent, pure, full of imagination and wonder and curiosity, but also just themselves. When have you seen a child younger than I don't know, 6 or 7, and they're not themselves? They are completely themselves almost 100% of the time. And they'll tell you exactly what they're thinking. They do not hold back in any way, shape, or form. And it's really funny to watch, but it's also really inspiring in some ways as well, because it just goes to show the awe-inspiring quality and essence of the childlike divineness that we all have inside of our hearts, if we but have the realization to see so and see the way that it actually is. Our hearts become hardened through time, and our hearts become aspects of these ideologies that just get deeply entrodden. Is that the right word? Entrodden? Anyway, deeply entrenched, that's the word I'm thinking of. Deeply entrenched into our psyches, that in many ways we begin to lose our sense of who we are. But the only way to actually gain that sense of self back and to realize once again who we really are is to create. It's to create. It's to be filled with wonder. It's to ask the questions and to do what must be done with the will of an adult and the strength of an adult, but the curiosity of a child, with the imagination of a child. So the internal world is very much something to see as a child in many ways and shapes and forms for all of the adults watching this. But it's not necessarily the end all be all. So with all that being said, I hope this message was useful and insightful. And until next time, peace be with you.